I'm just a helper until I move in. That's all I really am.
Well, honestly, you've done such a great job. I mean, Dean, I know you've been helping out, and you've gotten your whole family to work on this.
Yep.
But tell me the vision behind this, because it was a trailer at first, and then I came back, and it was like the Noah's Ark.
Well, yeah, so we were watching millions probably of YouTube videos based on tiny houses to get our ideas. And we saw this one in particular where it was a French couple, and essentially it's the same design. We wanted to build a straw bale house first, and the most fun part of building it was the rounded, like part of the house was gonna be rounded out front.
Yeah.
So we wanted to see how we could implement that into a tiny house, and we watched a video where they have more of a hex pattern in the front, and we essentially copied their tiny house.
So you were really inspired, and you were like thinking like, oh, we want to do tiny house living. What were some of the reasons for you? I mean, you have a family here, and yeah.
So it's mostly to just be financially free. If we needed to up and move, we can go wherever we want. We're not tied down to a mortgage. We're not tied down to a property, trying to sell it. So yeah, it's just being mobile and free.
And I mean, even though this is a tiny house, it looks like it's gonna be 2 stories. I mean, this barn is what, 16 feet high, right? So it's like just about that, right?
Yeah, we're, I believe, 13.6 high. We're 28 feet wide. There's about 2 feet behind that wall, which is 28 feet. And then we have this little addition here, and it's 8 feet wide.
And do you know how it's going to be structured on the inside? Do you have the layout, or are you kind of?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that. Like, take me through. And this is Dean. He's been doing some of the work here as well.
Hello. Yeah, so back here we have our bathroom. We're gonna have a 32 by 32 shower. We're gonna have a composting toilet in the back here, and then we're gonna have a tiny little above the counter sink.
Like a little vessel sink kind of thing, yeah.
Our doorway is gonna be here. Our counter is gonna be from the edge of the bathroom all the way to this post here.
And the counter will be for the vanity and then the kitchen counter, or how does that work?
The whole bathroom's closed off up to here. So from the edge of the bathroom wall to that post will be our kitchen countertop.
Yeah, nice.
Yep, we're gonna have our staircase. It's gonna be here. So we're gonna walk up into our loft, and then it's gonna be a little step down here so we can walk into the loft area.
Yeah.
We will have seating that goes from here, and it'll wrap around to the corner here.
So it'll be kind of almost like a banquette seating, like around the edge?
Yep. And
That's
then
nice use of space.
Yep. Our bench here is gonna slide out for additional bedding for guests, if we have any.
Yeah.
And then the whole front here is gonna be seating area. You have the big windows to get a lot of the light in. And then this is just gonna be probably gonna put a TV here, a projector.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have a table that goes from here to here, and it's gonna be movable, so we can take it out, put it on the porch if we need to, or whatever we decide to do with it. Yep.
And you have 2 children, so are you gonna have all the bedrooms up in the loft then?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is our loft.
Yeah.
It's bigger. We are going to have, it's gonna be simple. We're gonna have, our bed's gonna be in this corner here. And then we're gonna have storage probably along the walls. And then we're gonna have some storage back in the upper part here. And yep, so essentially just our bed and storage for clothes and that stuff. And then we're gonna have, this is the kids' loft. So they're gonna have storage as well in the back part, and then the bedroom is gonna be in the front. And the way we get from loft to loft is we're gonna have a big net. So it's just gonna be fun where they can
that'll
just
be
jump.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Like almost like a big hammock net.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're going for.
Oh, that's a lot of touch of whimsy and fun right there. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's more vintagey and kind of that style, and I'm a little just all over the place. So we incorporated all of our styles in. So I get to design the bathroom, and she gets to design the rest.
That's a nice compromise.
Yeah, which I'm perfectly fine with.
And then tell me a little bit about the construction techniques, because you're using like some kind of timber frame building techniques, and then as well as a number of others. So it seems like a little mashup.
Yes. So my father-in-law, who's pretty much building the entire tiny house, he built 2 others with the same styling, and I helped him a little bit on the first one, more on the second one, and we just couldn't go to traditional, studding and sheetrock. And if you're gonna build something this tiny, I feel like it can be premium. So I feel like this is just gorgeous.
Actually, you had to cut out some of these, hand cut some of these holes, and
So
kind of
actually,
pound them in.
yes.
Yeah.
Actually, all the studding, all of these, there are no nails.
Amazing.
So these are all cut out. It's like puzzle pieces, and they just stick right in. And then this peg goes through the beam as well as the tenon. So that holds both these pieces together, and the same thing with this. And then this peg here holds this piece to this piece. Yeah. The only nails or bolts are up top there to hold the.
Oh yeah, and look at how it's like the kind of dovetail joints like in here.
Yeah, that's mortise and tenon too. But
Okay.
the steel is both an effect and a structural. They have like a tiny house, they have like a really shallow roof.
Yeah.
So it basically makes you, once you add the steel, there's not enough surface area to even consider snow load.
Yeah.
But it's basically bomb-proof.
Huh. Amazing. So then I know you've had your more efficient use of materials. So do you want to talk a little bit about like where you found some of these materials or where you got some of the materials and?
Yeah. So we got a majority of our lumber from Labrador.
Yep.
Labrador Lumber in Owego. That's where we got pretty much everything from the studs up. The flooring we got from an auction. It's Lambrick Auction, that's the name of it. We've got that, and then we got the 2x6 frame underneath the floor. That's everything else is from Labrador Lumber
That's great.
in Owego.
Yeah, local lumber. Didn't they just have a fire too?
Yeah, they just burned down, unfortunately.
But
an electrical fire.
Yeah, but they are back up and running somewhat.
But it's cool that you got, most of the materials you can find somewhere or reuse it in some way. You also don't need a whole lot of it
Right,
to make the floor. You just need a couple.
right.
Well, I like that you're also looking at like different places, because I've just started to look at different auction houses, and then you could get some really good stuff, even if you wanted furniture for your place.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at some of the auction houses around here, and I'm like, wow, you could get something for a really good deal.
Yeah.
if you're starting from like scratch. But yeah, I mean, this is so cool to see it. You can't envision when it was just a trailer and you just had your plywood or floors on the ground. And then, 2 weeks later, I come back and it's like, boom, it's already up. I was like, oh no, I hope you got that in time lapse.
We moved, but we had help, and we just went.
I mean, you've recruited your whole family. Can you talk about that process? Like, what did you need to give your family? Could you just like a little tear eye, a little?
So favors. So I owe favors. But the good thing is I'm always there when they need me. So it wasn't super hard the first time.
Yeah.
So second time everyone was busy. So.
Well, also it's a cool experience, to be able to do this with your family and to learn a new skill. I'm sure you've learned a lot of new skills along the way, even though you've built one of these before.
Yeah, because I am in tech, so I dabble a little bit with building, but tech is my expertise, and learned quite a bit about woodworking, lumber, and all the different styles and ways to get a measurement, get an angle. So yeah, it's been fun.
Well, when do you think it's actually going to be done? Don't want to speak too soon, but.
So the plan is to hopefully between now and next week we can have the entire interior walls all framed up and the electric in, and then spray foam. And as soon as the spray foam is in, then we can put the exterior walls on, and then everything is all interior from there.
Amazing.
So we're hoping by the fall, because once we get inside, we can take this and put it where we need to put it, and everything else is just interior walls, counters, appliances, toilets, and just everything is going to be custom built. So we don't need to fit anything through this small door.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So Dean, you've been in charge of kind of building this because you've also done a couple of these tiny houses before. Can you walk me through how you set some of this up? Like, what are some of the basic components, and why have you decided to do it that way? So I see a trailer to start with.
Yeah, actually, just like start with the foundation, start with the trailer.
Yeah.
So instead of like taking an equipment trailer and trying to bend it to the design of your tiny home, we just draw the design and have a local trailer manufacturer just build it specifically for the tiny home.
Right, okay.
So it's great. You cut out any extraneous weight and you actually structure it specifically for the home.
Nice, yeah. So instead of trying to fit your house to the trailer, now you just make the trailer
all done.
custom.
It ends up being like about the same cost, except now it's lighter. You have more room left to add the weight into the tiny home, and it's structurally way better.
And then what is the width and I assume you want the maximum width when you're building a house. Like, what are some of the limitations that you're working with as far as, and also the weight? Like, I can imagine this is a lot of weight on one trailer.
Surprisingly little. This trailer, it'll be registered for 10,000, but the home will actually be under that.
Wow, okay.
And part of that's just, you have like the timber frame, kind of like the aesthetic, but you also mix it with the high tech. Like, we've removed any extraneous framing out of this. There's
right, because you have to back up a bit, you have two ways to kind of frame a house. Usually you do either post and beam, or you just do like studs that are like 16 or 24 inch on center. You've decided to go like post and beam.
Right.
What are some of the advantages of that?
It's light, actually.
It's lighter than...
The entire structure is beautiful, for one. So the entire structure is visible from the inside.
Yeah.
So you take a posted beam and bring all of it on the inside of the interior of the structure.
Right.
Leaving the cavity for the wall completely available for an unbroken spray foam.
Because look how much space you have between these.
Yeah, it's all just space.
And then why are these here? This just supporting windows?
Just to satisfy the exterior siding.
Okay, right. Just to have something to nail into, because you can't just go against spray foam.
Yeah, because once the spray foam, it's a high density spray foam, and once it's cured, it's structural as well. It's
also structural, right?
Yeah,
so you don't need anything like plywood to kind of protect it from shearing.
You don't need any sheathing, and all the material's light. Like the tongue and grooves, all kiln dried. Then it'll get a Dutch lap siding on the outside. Everything you're building is like a fraction the weight of typical building materials.
Interesting.
So all said and done, the last one we did was well under the 10,000, even though we kind of left that as the ability of.
Because it also depends on what you move in there, of course.
Right, and then space. I mean, you can go with the standard over the road rules. This one and the two others that we did, they weren't designed to just be travel.
Right. This is just to have the option to move it.
Yeah, it's designed so that you can easily move it. But it's really designed to just be moved to a place, used there. If you want to move it again, you can easily move it.
Yeah.
Chris and Blessing elected to just follow the standards, not apply for an oversized. So it's it'll be under 13.6, and it'll be under under the standard 96.
Right.
The last one we did was 10 feet wide.
Whoa. Okay.
It's totally fine. It's just that
wow, okay.
when you have it moved, you're going to have someone that carries an overwidth permit to move it.
I see. So then you'll have to apply for like
oversized load thing that you want.
Which is amazingly easy, because any of your shed manufacturers that move them.
You see them sometimes on the road.
Yep, we just hire them to move them, and it's not a big deal.
That's cool. So you have quite a lot of options. You can make it either the size that's like fits under most bridges and stuff, or you could just go 10 feet.
And we just did the 4 in Texas that were actually 14 feet wide.
Oh wow! So you could put those on a trailer as well.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Talk about how you protect the bottom, because in a normal house, you obviously you go deep under the frost line to protect from cold.
This is all based on the value of the spray foam is the 5 inches underneath.
Right, so you have like 5 inches of spray foam underneath here.
Yeah, it kind of ramps toward a narrower ribbon on the side, but it quickly reaches just less than a foot in. It quickly reaches 5 inches.
Right.
And that's how you're stopping the cold. You know, once on a site, you might do a skirt of some sort to block free wind, but
I see, yeah.
Really the spray foam itself, stopping the infiltration of cold, is what's insulating your home.
Right, and now you obviously have this right now on blocks.
Yeah, it's super
because
standard.
Otherwise you can't level anything in this house.
Oh, it's dialed in. The nice thing is you never use a level when you're building them because everything's built like a cabinet. You know, everything's a measurement off itself.
Okay, right.
And right now this is dialed in. It's completely level and it's static. If we were to take it off as blocks, it would actually move. Like we'd be able to flex it. But when it's complete and ready for spray foam, once it's spray foamed, it'll essentially be immovable.
Fixed, right. And is the idea too that once you put this somewhere, ideally you put it on blocks, I assume?
Yeah, it's designed for 5 basically pier or footer locations.
Nice.
And once it's set, you should be fine. We got spots where you can tie it down.
Right. So after you have your plywood on top of the trailer as a floor and you got your spray foam in there, what's the next step you do on building something like this?
Well, in this case, we just went ahead and did the timbering. So all the timber frames.
Maybe we can go in.
Yeah, we can go
into
inside
the structure to see that up close.
So you're doing all this mortise and tenon work.
Right. So this whole outside, kind of
and then
letter N shape is what
all the way up
you
through.
built.
You can kind of see it here all the way up through because you got the opening.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're uniformly cutting all those pieces, and then you're doing the mortise and tenon joints. And just to expedite the process, these are kind of extra strong because we elected to go ahead and glue all the joints as well.
Oh wow!
It's kind of an extra.
Usually you don't glue them.
You don't really have to, but we were trying to basically keep the process moving really quickly and not have to worry about any motion when we were moving. Because we were in a smaller space in here. We didn't have a separate timbering area. We timbered them right on the deck.
Yeah.
So because you're having to move them more frequently, we just wanted everything to be really secure.
Right.
So I went and glued all the joints, and that way we could move them around at will.
Right. So then once you have them like all glued up, locked in place, then you can stand them up and you're not worried about them losing the dimensions.
Yeah, no.
Whereas if you just put it together, it might have some movement in it.
Right before they go up, they're all literally overlaid on each other, and you determine that they're all perfectly matched.
Yeah.
And then the trailer is also manufactured with straps straps that go right down into the frame.
So this is directly welded to the trailer.
Yeah, that goes right through.
Yeah.
And then it just took 3 of us to stand up all the timbers, bolt them in place.
Yeah. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
Yep, and then the back, they've got the overhanging loft in the back.
Yeah, and then now here I see at the top you chose to do something different than your traditional wood technique here.
Yeah, the steel gusset. Yeah, so there's still a mortise and tenon joint. I think. Yeah, it might be hard to see except from the outside.
Oh, right. So that's in the middle of
There's still a mortise and tenon joint, but instead of just putting a pin in there and having it be done, which would be structurally fine, we went ahead and added the steel, both sides.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's a 312 pitch. So you could just keep adding weight to the center peak in excess of any possible snow load, and because you've added that stress point in there with the steel, you just basically don't have to worry about snow load.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have,
so that strengthens.
Yeah.
So it would be stronger than if you had
If you were to move the pitch up to, like 512 or greater, it would be unnecessary.
Right, and 512 it refers to like the width that you go out and then the height that you go up and then whatever
just be a steeper
triangle
roof.
you get. Yeah, exactly.
But there's an effort to get down towards a lower pitch so that when you're up in that loft,
then you get more
kind of see.
Of course.
You can really. It's not a standing up loft, but you can move around quite easily. You know, even a tall person sitting down is not bumping their head, even out at the edges.
Right. Nice. And then once you have these in place, I see you have this big beam here. I guess that
Right.
kind of ties it all together.
Yeah, you go through a long process of just making sure everything is perfectly square with each other,
Yeah.
with all the beams, and then you apply this ribbon beam on, tying them all into place, and then you do the minimal studding, and just start like a basket weave. Just start dropping in the tongue and groove.
Yeah.
So essentially, the entire process, the thing gets built in the reverse. The inside will be completely finished
Right.
before you ever get to doing the outside.
Yeah, it's kind of the reverse of how you build a
Right.
house.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, and it makes it so much easier to like just put the spray foam on the outside and then put the siding on.
Right,
and
the
then
spray
you're
foam
good.
guys love it.
Yeah.
So like we just come in and do the outside of your building. You don't have to work inside.
Right. So you basically have the spray foam guy come over 2 times, because is he gonna do the roof as well, or?
He'll do it. In this case, we've usually split it in 3.
Okay.
Which is a little cumbersome for the spray foam guy.
Yeah.
So this one we're splitting in 2. He of course do the floor.
Yeah, you can't.
Because
yeah,
it's
you
just
have
great
to
for him.
get that done.
We underlay it with
Yeah.
the Tyvek, so that's a nice protection
I see.
for the spray foam. And then he just does it open from the top.
I see.
And
So
then we apply the deck.
right.
And then when we have this done and we've run wiring, on the outside completely, and literally all the outlet boxes are in,
Right.
and we've made sure we didn't forget any, because once he spray foams,
Once you spray foam, you're
Yeah,
done.
and so,
you
yeah.
can't just easily. Well, you could cut into this,
yeah,
but
it'd be cumbersome.
you would really
But
sacrifice.
once that's all in, then he come and spray foam the entire outside, including right up over the roof.
Yeah.
And then we usually at that point go ahead and do the roof, and then the siding is last.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's kind of the oddball. Your exterior siding is like the last thing you do.
Yeah.
And then,
Now, you talked a little bit about electric. Electric will be ran on the outside. Well, it'd be inside the wall, but you could do it from the outside, which is
right.
great.
Yeah,
How do
you
talk-
can look at everything. It's not,
Yeah.
you don't have to like fuss around inside the building.
It's kind of nice to not have any internal walls really to deal with either.
Yeah.
How are you tackling things like plumbing for the sink and the kitchen and things like that?
design
I
of
know
the
you have a
plumbing-
composting toilet here, but
Yeah, they've got a composting toilet, and we specifically design it so all of the plumbing is completely inside. There's nothing buried in the wall.
nice. Okay.
Couple ways you could approach it. One is there's not an issue like if you were to have damage to the plumbing, it's all available. Even though
Yeah.
once it's done, you can't see any of the plumbing. Even
So
though
you'll
it's
be hidden
inside.
in a cabinet.
Yeah,
somehow,
it's a tiny home, so you end up with a certain amount of cabinet.
Yeah.
The bathroom, you can see a tiny bit of the plumbing in most of the last couple we've done, like in the bathroom, but it's very minimal.
Yeah.
It's like
You can make that look nice too if you want. Like
yeah,
copper
yeah. You can
pipes and
switch
stuff.
to a little bit of copper at the exposed if
Yeah.
you want to make it look cool, or at the shower. And we did that in the one. But yeah, most of it's all exposed, and it all gets done completely, after the rest of your process is finished.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, even the drains and stuff like that, they're all like completely below the finish. There's nothing buried. Like if you have a drain clog, you can go
Right.
underneath and address it.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
are you then hooking up to like a well that's on the property, or how do you have a water storage tank?
In the
or-
previous ones, folks have just we've set it up so they can connect to a well,
Yeah. Nice.
and then for their for the drainage, either like dry well if they're composting toilet and it's just like simple gray water and that's acceptable, they can do dry well for that, or they'll tap into a current home's
Right.
septic for that gray water.
And what's dry well?
It's just like you have like a buried concrete structure that has its weep holes, and whatever the local
I see.
ordinance allows, whether that's just gravel or stone, or whether that's like a simple leach bed. Whatever they allow, that's one option. A lot of times people just tie them. There's so little produced, they'll just tie them into the home maybe that it's located or on the property near. They'll tie into
so
their
it's
septic.
kind of like a septic tank, but
Yeah,
in between
yeah,
for
but
just
you're not
gray
actually
water.
producing
Right.
any true septic because you're not making use of a standard toilet.
yeah. And then what about heating and cooling?
So I think that they're planning on doing a heat exchange, like a heat
Yeah.
pump. So very efficient, takes up very little space.
Yeah.
Find a wall location where you're gonna have it's gonna handle the whole home for both heating and cooling. Mm-hmm. And then usually it's very easy to find a location for your outside unit. Like they have an option. They have a utility area.
Yeah, there's a bit of a 2 feet space in the back there that you
yep.
can't see behind this wall.
Yep.
But you could
On
put
the
it
previous
there.
one, we located the heat exchanger
Oh yeah, you could put
outdoor
it near
on the hitch, because
Yeah.
their utility area was the opposite. It was in the front. There's no windows in the
I
front.
see.
And we located it there. And then we did another one where it was just a propane heat stove.
Oh, okay.
And that handles, very small, but handles the whole thing.
Right.
And kind of anecdotally what it takes to heat it. So we had the same size as this one basically. And I worked through the winter on it.
Yeah.
And we used a tiny little 1500 watt,
Right.
or just a little ceramic heater like you'd have in your bathroom.
Yeah.
And
the
we
little plug-in.
Yeah.
The
and
electric,
We heated,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we heated the whole place with it through the whole construction.
Yeah.
In fact, if I would mistakenly leave it like on like the medium high setting and come back, it'd be way too warm.
Wow.
And that'd be like on a 20
Yeah.
degree outside temperature day.
Because you're in a small space, you made it so you insulated really well. You
Yeah.
basically removed any thermal bridging by having minimum
Right.
wood that connects to the outside.
Yeah.
Most of it is insulation.
Biggest difference between that
Yeah.
and most home is there's not all those spots where you're greatly insulated and then you've got a spot where all the heat leaves.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they try to deal with it with like mastics and Tyveks and stuff like that, where if you redesign the framing, you could just eliminate it.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's how you get heating in here. And then what about fresh air? Do you even need that in a
lot of
space
windows.
like this, or is the
So
window?
in almost any kind of weather, you could like open windows.
Yeah.
But I think I would more advocate for like a simple heat exchange or air exchange fan, because they're very small and very easy.
Yeah.
You already have a fan in like the
In
bathroom,
the
for an exhaust
that
fan.
goes to the outside. Right?
It would be worthwhile in most small spaces that are that well insulated to just have a fresh air rotation on the
Right.
fan. And that's very easy. But you can accomplish the same thing by just opening
Opening a
windows.
window.
Yeah, opening
Yeah.
windows.
Yeah. Unless
And
it's like
and
winter.
it's so well
and-
insulated
yeah.
that that's not usually a conflict for most people.
Right. And most of the time, it's nice enough outside to be able to open up a window.
Yeah, you can
But
get
when
a
it
cross
gets really
breeze
cold,
through here
yeah.
quite well. Like depending on depending on the situation it's located. If you're open like front windows and like open this large window, you'd have the air just
Yeah.
moving through here.
Yeah, you're basically front to back on that.
Yep.
And you have basically one of these also on your own land, right?
Yes. Yeah, one of them that we built, folks were looking for land and they ended up electing to lease a spot of land from us, and it's been kind of fun to
Nice.
see them enjoy it.
Do you ever Airbnb it? Or
So we have a separate timber frame cottage that we built in '05 that we Airbnb all the time.
Nice.
And that one's, that one's not mobile. We've built a couple of tiny homes that weren't mobile. The mobiles are more of the recent endeavor.
Yeah.
So next we decided we should do one like
Floating?
on a boat. Yeah,
On a boat.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's what we've been
It seems like the natural next step.
Yeah, it
That's what
is.
we've been talking about, Dutch style, like on the
Yeah.
pond up there.
Yeah, it
Like
seems
we
like
have
the
space
natural
for
next
it,
step
yeah.
before going to the air,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Well, incredible to see this built. I've seen some tiny houses, of course, but not a lot of them that are built in this way, which is really cool. It really adds a lot of character.
In the barn.
Yeah, it's really amazing because I've always
your own
been
space.
thinking about like, okay, what would it be to do a tiny house? Should I build one? And then
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing to see that you guys wanted to come and build it here,
This-
and giving us a sneak peek at like.
This is the first time
Yeah.
that we've built one inside.
Well, you know what was really funny? Because
Which is-
the first time we got here, my father said, "You can build a house in here," and it's like
Yeah.
it came true. I was like,
Yeah.
"Dad,
Yeah.
it came true."
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of our previous builds, it was very much strategy around the weather for building. So this has been like a unique, like we can just schedule to work at the same time every week, where before it was like, okay, we have to work tonight, like all evening and through the night
'Cause
and
it's gonna
lights
rain,
because we have to have this done, and then we have poor weather or something. So
Yeah.
it's been nice.
Yeah, I could definitely see how it's a lot easier not to have to deal with the weather. Plus, if you're in a barn, you have lights for at night. You can just work
Yeah,
on it anytime.
yeah, it's been
Yeah.
really good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the quick tour. I know you're really
Yeah.
busy, so I'll
No,
let you get
it's-
back to it. But yeah, this is really
Yeah,
amazing
we're
to
gonna
see.
finish it all this afternoon.
Exactly. That's the goal every day, right?
Yeah.
By the end of the day, it should all be finished.
Yeah,
But then
just go until you can't go anymore.
one more day, one more day.
Chris and his family continued forward on the tiny house. And within a couple months, they were ready to move it out of our big barn. That is, if it would fit. It definitely was a production trying to get it out.
Switch to his hitch because his hitch is 2 inches higher.
Dude, I got a clip.
Think we'll make it out in one shot?
When you tight,
It's a little.
That's a wide turn. See, I don't know how much and how close once he gets.
that turn too.
Right.
You guys gonna go straight out or? You can always take the barn apart.
Yeah.
okay. All right. Forward we go.
Okay. Hang on a second. Stay right there. I'm measuring back.
But they were able to make it with a little under an inch to spare.
What happened, D?
As soon as he took the drop, he had 1 inch of clearance.
1 inch to the top of the door?
Which is how much the ridge would have been if we put it on.
We might have cleared a quarter. We would have had a quarter inch
We would have actually cleared it.
to play with. Quarter inch.
We would have just ticked his
Oh,
rubber thing.
the.
We didn't touch it, but if we put the ridge on, we would have touched it. Mass doesn't lie.
Yes.
I was just hoping for some excitement.
And now, they're on their way to their next adventure.
I can see the light on the summit, but I'm down here wandering in the snow. I don't know which way I'm heading, but I'm just trying to get back home.
If you enjoy stories and productions like these, give the video a like and consider subscribing, hitting the notifications button, and even tipping. We reinvest 10% of our Google AdSense proceeds back into our community here in the Finger Lakes, and that's matched by our partners over at Espoma Organic. So your support truly matters. We'll see you on the next flock adventure.